You ever notice how some people ask you a question and suddenly you're spilling your guts, feeling seen for the first time in forever? And then there's that other person who asks 20 questions, and you want to fake a phone call to escape? The difference isn't what they're asking, it's how they're asking. Most people use questions like weapons or checklists. The ones who make you feel alive, they're using questions like keys, unlocking parts of you that rarely get oxygen. Here's what's happening. I'm going to show you the exact framework for asking questions that make people feel genuinely seen, that create instant connection, and that people remember long after the conversation ends. This isn't about manipulation. It's about curiosity that actually gives a damn. Let's get into it. The problem: you're interrogating, not connecting. Most of your questions are killing the vibe, and you don't even know it. You ask someone what they do, where they're from, how long they've lived here. It feels like you're filling out a form. They answer on autopilot because they've answered these same questions 1,000 times. There's no spark, because you're collecting data, not creating connection. Here's the shift. Stop asking questions that have been asked before. Stop asking things that can be answered with facts. Your coworker tells you they went to Boston for the weekend. You ask, how was it? Dead end. Your friend mentions they're switching careers. You ask, what are you doing now? Boring. Your date says they love hiking. You ask, where do you hike? Nobody's remembering that conversation. The questions that make people love you dig into the why and the how they feel, not the what and the where. They make people think for a second before answering. They reveal character, not credentials. Strategy 1, ask about decisions, not facts. Here's what to do. When someone tells you something they did, skip the surface details and ask about the decision behind it. Don't ask what happened. Ask why they chose it, or how they knew it was right. Here are some examples. Your friend mentions they quit their job. Don't ask what they're doing next. Ask, what was the moment you knew you had to leave? Your sister says she's moving across the country. Skip asking where. Ask, what are you hoping feels different when you get there? Someone tells you they started therapy. Don't ask how it's going. Ask, what made you finally decide to start? You're aiming for the story behind the story. You're giving them permission to share the real stuff, the inner experience, not just the external facts. This works because people are starving to talk about their internal world, but most questions keep them trapped in the boring external stuff. When you ask about decisions, you're saying, I care about how you think, not just what you did. Strategy 2, ask about feelings in disguise. Most people freeze when you directly ask, how did that make you feel? It's too therapy speak. It puts them on the spot. Instead, ask about feelings without using the word feelings. Try these. What's been on your mind about that? Or what's the best part and what's the scary part? Or what surprised you most? These questions access emotion without making it weird. Your friend tells you they're getting married. Instead of, are you excited? Ask, what's hitting you most as it gets closer? Your coworker mentions their kids started school. Don't ask if they're emotional. Ask, what's been harder than you expected? You're sneaking past their defenses. People have rehearsed answers for direct questions, but these slight reframes make them actually stop and think. That pause before they answer, that's when real connection happens. That's them accessing something true instead of something polished. Strategy 3, use the follow-up that shows you're actually listening. Here's where most people completely blow it. They ask a decent first question, get a good answer, then pivot to something totally different. It's like saying, cool story, and walking away. The magic isn't in your first question. It's in how you follow up. Use their exact words back to them in your next question. Your friend says, I'm trying to figure out what I actually want. Don't switch topics. Ask, what makes that hard to figure out? Or, when's the last time you knew what you wanted? Someone says, I'm feeling stuck. Ask, what does stuck feel like for you? Or, what would unstuck look like? This works because you're building on what they gave you instead of waiting for your turn to talk. Your brain wants to share your similar story or offer advice. Resist. Stay curious about their experience for one more question. Then one more. People feel loved when you're genuinely interested in understanding them, not just exchanging information. Strategy 4, ask a question nobody else asks. Everyone asks about the highlight reel, the promotion, the relationship, the achievement. Ask about the stuff around it that actually matters. This is where you separate yourself from every other conversation they've had. Here are examples. Your friend gets engaged. Everyone asks about the ring and the wedding. You ask, what do you love about who you are when you're with them? Your coworker gets promoted. Everyone says congratulations. You ask, "What are you worried about?" Someone tells you about their vacation. Skip asking where they went. Ask, "What did you need a break from?" You're going sideways when everyone else goes straight. You're acknowledging the complicated human experience instead of just celebrating the achievement. This makes people feel seen at a level they're not used to. It's not that you're being negative. You're being real. You're acknowledging that humans contain multitudes and most questions only access the shallow end. Strategy 5. Ask permission to go deeper. Sometimes you can feel there's more under the surface, but you're not sure if you should dig. Here's how. Signal that you're noticing something and ask if they want to talk about it. This gives them control while showing you care. Say this, "It seems like there's more to that. Do you want to talk about it?" Or, "That sounds complicated. Are you okay exploring it? Or should we keep it light?" Or, "I'm curious about the story there, but only if you feel like sharing." Your friend mentioned something hard in passing. Don't bulldoze forward or ignore it. Offer the invitation. This works because you're respecting their boundaries while making it clear you're available for the real conversation. Most people either ignore the deep stuff or push too hard. You're doing neither. You're creating a safe space and letting them choose. Half the time they'll open up because you asked permission. The other half, they'll remember you offered, and they'll come back to you later when they're ready. Why this actually works. Your brain is wired to remember how people make you feel, not what they said. When you ask questions like this, you're making people feel genuinely seen. You're showing them their internal experience matters to you. That's rare. Most conversations are just people waiting for their turn to talk or collecting surface information. The questions that create connection are the ones that require people to think before answering. They access parts of themselves they don't usually share. When someone shares something real with you and you handle it with curiosity instead of judgment or advice, you're building trust at lightning speed. This compounds. People remember the person who asked about the hard parts, not just the highlights. They remember who made space for their actual complexity. They come back to that person. They trust that person faster next time. Try this today. Pick one person, one conversation. Use just one of these strategies. Ask about a decision instead of a fact. Ask about what surprised them instead of how they feel. Follow up using their words. Ask the question nobody else is asking. Just one. Watch what happens. Watch them pause before answering. Watch them give you something real instead of something rehearsed. That pause is where connection lives. That's where you stop being just another person asking questions and become someone who actually sees them. The people who make you feel most alive aren't the ones talking about themselves. They're the ones making you feel interesting. Be that person. Ask better questions. Make people feel seen. They'll love you for it. Don't end with, "Well, I'll let you go," like you're doing them a favor by stopping. End with a question that makes them want to continue later. Here are 3 ways to end conversations that invite people back. What should I ask you about next time I see you? What's something you're working on that I can check in about? What's coming up that you're either excited or nervous about? You're giving them something to look forward to. A reason to see you again. This works because you're planting a hook in the future. Next time you see them, you reference that thing. "Hey, how did that presentation go? Did you finish that book you were reading? How's your sister doing with the new job?" Boom. Instant connection. They feel remembered. They feel like they matter to you. Because they do. The real framework. Here's the truth. Questions aren't about gathering information. They're about creating space for someone to be themselves. The best questions don't put people on the spot. They give people an opening to share what they actually want to talk about. That's the whole framework. Here are the 4 pillars of the curiosity framework. Curiosity. Ask with genuine interest, not just to fill silence. Depth. Go beyond surface-level facts to emotions and meaning. Attention. Follow their energy and prove you're listening. Follow through. Reference past conversations and invite future ones. You do this right, and people will leave conversations with you feeling energized. They'll think about what you asked for days. They'll tell other people, "I met someone who asked me this amazing question." That's not a trick. That's genuine connection. And it compounds. Because people remember how you made them feel, and they come back for more. Start today. Pick one strategy. Try it in your next conversation. Watch what happens.